Candidates, a show that brings you face-to-face with candidates running for federal, state, and local offices. Our Constitution empowers we the people to protect our country's future through the ballot box, a privilege and responsibility that many countries don't have. This sacred privilege gives you, the voter, the power to hire good leaders, while at the same time to fire bad leaders. We have the privilege of living in the greatest country in the world, but it'll only stay that way if we empower good leaders to lead. So this journey, if you'll go with me, will enable us to find out more about each candidate. Where do they stand on things like immigration, domestic as well as international policy? These are some of the questions that we're going to explore on Meet the Candidates. So stay tuned, let's go, get your notepads out, and let's find out who we need to vote for, who is going to protect us and sacrifice for us with the passion that they must have in order to keep America great. I'm Billy Graff, your host. Welcome to Meet the Candidates. Today's guest is Jonathan Mitchell, and we are really encouraged by the fact that he's here, he's in the studio, he's willing to answer your questions, and so let's jump right into it. Jonathan, so glad you're here today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I've got a couple of quick questions. Where are you from?
Splendora is where I grew up at.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
So you're a local boy.
I am local, yes, sir. And I actually I live in Valley Ranch out in New Caney now.
Oh, okay.
So I did not move too far away. I kind of travel a lot for work,
okay.
But I try to stay more local just to be around my family.
Okay, well, great. Well, that's nice to have a local boy in the race.
Yes, sir.
So, have you ever run for office before?
I've never have. So this is the first time.
Really?
Yes, sir. I've never done any kind of political thing in my life. So.
All right. Well, we're going to dig a little deeper on that one in just a minute. But
all right.
Let's go ahead and get started with your family. What do you like to do? Tell me about your family.
So, my family, on my dad's side at least, we're very close. Mm-hmm. I say we're very close. My uncle lives right around the corner. My grandma lives around the corner. It's just my whole entire family in a circle right there in Splendora.
Oh, okay.
So we're a pretty tight little. I won't say community, but we're just family. Right. But what I like to do is mainly just spend time with them if I'm able to. We like to do a lot of hunts. Okay. At least me, my dad, and my son.
You're an outdoors guy.
Very outdoors, yes, sir. Right. So I grew up on the lake and grew up hunting all my life.
All right.
And that's how I am still. You know. So any chance that I get, actually, I was just talking to one of my guides today, planning another hunt, and I told him, we got to do something for my son. My son's been wanting to hunt something.
Right.
And he's been bugging me because I took him to all these last couple of hunts. And he was upset with me because I didn't get him let him hunt.
How old is he?
He's 7 now.
Okay.
So I was wanting him to get a little bit older,
right,
a little bit more mature, and kind of understand what's actually going on.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about what you do for a living and some of your life experiences in that area.
So I'm actually a pipeliner. Okay. I do oil and gas. That's all I've done. So as soon as I graduated high school, one of my best friend's dad owned a pipeline company. And so I walked on a Saturday. Monday, I was on the line. He put me right out there. Oh. And that's what I did. And I did a little bit of college here and there. I never finished college.
Okay.
The lifestyle of oil and gas is just something that's, I won't say addicting is what I tell people. It's very, it's hard to explain because when you're out there on the road with everybody else, you just become such a really close, another family. Sure. And we get really, really close.
So you travel a lot?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay.
I mainly travel throughout Texas, but I go up to Oklahoma, Louisiana, New Mexico. I've been getting a lot of calls here lately, go to North Dakota and Wyoming. I've been trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Sure. Well, what could you tell us would be probably your biggest accomplishment in the area of public service?
Ooh, in public service. Honestly, I don't consider it more of a public service. I just do it. So on my hunts, for example, I like to give back. Like if I go hunt something, I want to give back to the community. So all the meat that I get processed, I give out to people, family, friends, friends of friends.
Oh, wow.
That's what I like to do. That's one of my biggest things because I can't eat all the meat. I'm a single guy. So as much as I like to hunt and everything, I want to give back. Let
right.
people experience some meat that they've never been able to try before.
Gotcha.
Especially during the hard times right now. So I got back home in Splendora. I got a lot of family, or I got a lot of friends that are around that's kind of struggling. So if I can give them whatever I can give them, I do. So,
sure.
But I don't like to. I'm not big on trying to do it publicly. I just do it. Just to do it.
Well,
that's something I enjoy.
So why in the world, at this point in your life, are you interested in running for Congress?
So what's made the change for me on that was over the years, I've always thought it'd be kind of interesting, just kind of, like, oh, well, that'd be kind of neat. But it wasn't really a big thing because of the oil field for me. That's what I like. That's what I love. However, with what happened last year with COVID, shutting down everything, shutting down the economy, I was fortunate enough to continue to work. However, a lot of my other pipeline brothers and sisters, they weren't. I was getting phone calls that was like, hey, where's work at? I said, I have no idea. Right. I'm on my project. With my project, they're not hiring no more, but we're also not stopping. So we're kind of in, I'm in that limbo. I'm kind of, thankful about, the grace of God. However, with what happened with that and how they handle the situation and how they keep trying to take away our liberties, I had enough. Okay. And once Biden got in office, shut down the Keystone. I wasn't on the Keystone project, but it's a snowball effect for all the other projects because they're shutting down that one. The other ones are starting to shut down because they don't know what's about to happen.
Right. Makes sense.
So with that happening, and then with the what's going on with ATF, and then with these trying to mandate the vaccine, I had enough. Okay. So I said, you know what? If I'm just going to throw my name in the hat, see what happens.
Okay. Well, tell us how your working career and your experiences have equipped you to run for this office.
Well, how I am, the experience I have from what I do is really good at picking up where things are behind and getting us to the point where we need to be. For example, I always think of this story. I did a job down there in Cotulla, Texas, which is about an hour away from Laredo. All right. And I got out there, was 3 weeks behind project. And by the time it was done, we ended up finished the project a week ahead. So when I got there, we had to find out what the issues was. What's the bottlenecks of the whole project? We had rig welders and we had automatic welders. So the rig welders weld out of their trucks. Automatics, they have a hooch, and they got the machines in there. They're doing all the welding out of a machine. However, we had 258 welds that was needed to be repaired from the automatics, and we had to make a decision: do we have them repair it, or do we go ahead and have the rig welders grind it out and repair it themselves? So we cut off all the. Ended up having to cut all the automatic welders, let them loose. Okay. And then we ended up fixing them, and then we ended up, like I said, we got a week ahead of schedule and finished the project. So I like to use that as one of the examples of knowing where we're at right now as in a country, and where we need to be at for the future and how to get there. So trying to figure out where everything is and knowing what needs to change, what regulations need to change, what bills, and how we need to go about it. Right. So that's how I like to think of it like that. So whenever I go to work, I'm used to 18, 19, 20-hour days at work, starting off. So that's my kind of mentality. It's that hard-working mentality.
All right. Well, if you're elected, what would be your number one priority, and why are you passionate about that priority? So, man, I could narrow that down to so many, but number one. Yeah, just pick one.
That's a very tough one. And I say that because there's so many that's out there that needs to be touched on, that's heavily needs to be touched on. However, to actually pinpoint the number one, probably getting rid of the IRS taxes. Lowering the taxes for all people. I'm for the fair tax plan, and that's probably how I would go about it. Okay. Just trying to get rid of that, get the IRS out of our pockets, out of our lives. I want the government completely out of our our lives. I want independent freedoms.
Right.
No reason for them to be poking their heads in everything we do. And to me, I think the fair tax plan would be the way to go. It would get rid of it would have it where we're not getting audited by them anymore.
Okay.
I thought about other plans to do, but if we tax income, we'll always have IRS. And I want to get rid of that. So that'll probably be the number one is that.
All right. All right, folks, we really appreciate you being here. Don't go away. That was the easy segment. We're getting ready to get into the hard stuff. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we get back, we're going to move into the Liberty section where we ask the deep, hard questions about what's going on in our country, and we're going to give Jonathan an opportunity to tell us how he would represent us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back to the Liberty segment. And Jonathan, we're going to get down and dirty. We're going to find out where you stand on some key issues.
All right.
I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, well, here we go. The administration is spending trillions of dollars that it just absolutely doesn't have, creating debt that our children, our grandchildren, and maybe and beyond are going to be responsible for. So the question is very simple. If you're sitting there in Congress, would you vote on a bill or any segments of bills that would add more debt to our communities?
Absolutely not. How I feel about that is it goes into foreign aid as well, and what we've been spending our money on. Now, there is several countries like Israel that needs our help right now. Afghanistan, we need to get our people out of there. So I understand spending money on that. However, we don't have the money to be supporting other countries like we are right now when we have issues going on here at home. So to me, I want to cut off not all foreign aid. Like I said, Israel and Afghanistan needs us. However, for the majority of the part, we need to cut off a lot of budgets. We need to cut off all that until we can get a hold of our deficit. Once we get a hold of our deficit, then we can start talking about doing treaties and talking about, hey, what we can do to help the rest of the world. But we can't help the rest of the world if we can't help ourselves. So to me, I want to eliminate a lot of that spending. And we got to cut off budgets. We got to cut off organizations throughout the government, and so be it. It has to go.
All right. Well, let's move on to another one. The 2020 election brought to light many ways elections can be tampered with. But Democrats call any effort to protect the sanctity of the ballot box voter suppression. Would you support any type of voter integrity laws?
Absolutely. I think we need to have integrity laws. I think the other thing is that has been coming up a lot lately, surrounding any of my social media, is the integrity laws. And if I'm for any of the audits, I'm for every audit. I think elections should be audited. I think we should have integrity laws there. We need to make sure that we have people that is registered voting, not people that's just coming in there saying, "Oh yeah, I'm registered," but they're not. They're bypassing everything. They're breaking the law. So I'm not for that. I'm for ensuring that we actually have the right voter there. So I'm for all the integrity laws, and then on top of that, like I said, I'm for the audits. It doesn't matter if it's a local audit or federal audit. I want the audits there. They need to be there. If, for example, I use a lot of my career for this as well, because so in my career, we got to audit books. When I'm out there on the job site, we're creating a whole book for the gas company.
Right.
They're going to present it to me. I'm going to go through it. However, when I'm going through the book, everything's going to be there. But when I actually go through to audit the book, that's when I'm going to find the issues. Okay. So if I got to do that on my own job to make sure that everything's there, we need to do the same thing for our own elections. Okay. It makes it where I think it would bring more hope to people to know that their vote actually counts.
All right. Well, as a congressman, how would you address the voter integrity issues and the problems or the challenges that we seem to find?
Well, I'm not much of a kind of, how do I say it, walk on eggshells. So I'm just more of a flat footer on that. And I just go straight to the problem. Okay. So if I got to bring it straight to the committee and let them know hey, we have to have these laws here. We have to have this protected. We got to make sure our American people know that their vote's getting counted and it's getting counted correctly. And
Okay.
that's the only way I can really go about it, is actually ensuring and making a bill if need be to assure that that's what's happening.
All right. Well, let's switch gears real quick. The border. I want to talk about the border.
Yes, sir.
Do you support the current policies that are being used in the area of our borders?
So, underneath the current administration, no, they're open. I don't mean to laugh at that. It's because it's shameful. It really is. It's I'm not for what they're doing. I want to completely close down the border. We have to have our proper adequate amount of agents there, and we're not. We have this open border policy going on right now. And,
so how would you close them?
well, one, we have to go ahead and ensure that we have the adequate amount of the agents there. Whether we have to bring in more, hire more, train more, whatever it is we got to do. Put the National Guard down there. That's what they're there for, and put the State Guard down there as well. That's more on a state level.
Okay.
But to me, that would be one way, and the other way is to go ahead and finish out the wall. Like I said, with the budget, if we cut our budget in certain areas, we can fund finishing out the wall.
Okay. Who's responsible for writing and making law for the United States?
It'd be the House, it'd be the Congress, and once that bill gets passed, and it goes into the Senate, then it goes that way. However, to me, whenever the Congress introduces a new bill into the committee, into the House, I think it needs to go straight to the American people. Me personally, because American people have the power. The posts have the power. At least that's what our Constitution is written for, is to ensure that our government does not infringe upon our freedoms. However, whenever a member of the committee, a member of Congress introduces a new bill, like I said, it needs to be introduced to the House. It needs to be introduced to the American people and to the public, noticeably, so everyone can vote on it. Just because I see it as they're living by double standards and we're living by regular standards.
So should the President of the United States follow the laws?
Absolutely.
And what do we do when he doesn't?
He needs to be removed from office. So with every Congress member and Senate, if they violate the oath of the Constitution, automatic removal. There should not be no pass go. We can wait. Nope. They need to be removed and replaced.
All right. So here's another thought I want your opinion on. Let's assume that the government, the federal government, is not doing on the border what it should be doing. It is not protecting the states.
Okay.
What is your thought and opinion on what the state's authority and rights are at that point?
The states, we have our own constitution on that, and we should be able. Don't quote me. I know the amendment. I know the Constitution, what it states. I just don't remember the exact one. Anyways, but we have the right to overpower that. If we're not, we have the right to overpower what the federal government. If they're not going to protect us, we have the right to protect our own self, and that needs to be done. That needs to happen. So right now on our southern borders, the federal government's not protecting us.
Right.
It's time for the state agencies to go ahead and start protecting us. Because that is constitutionally what we're allowed to do.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Great. Next question, Stone. There we go. You gotta move them forward before I get to them. Thank you.
I'm on the next question.
Huh?
I'm on the next one.
Yeah, no, I'm giving it a second, so I got to have some editing space to add. All right. Too often, once elected, our representatives lose their way in D.C. and begin to get focused on just getting reelected versus fighting for the policies and the protections that we put them there. Do you believe or do you not believe in term limits?
I actually believe in term limits. That is one of my big policies in my campaign is term limits.
How would that actually practically look?
So for me, there's a few different ways to go about it. The perfect world No, we don't live in a perfect world, but the perfect world for me would be just like the presidency. You get a max of 2 terms, 4 years apiece, and comes out 8 years. That's it. That would be for the House and the Senate, and that's how I would like it to be in perfect world. However, to change the term lengths would be a much more difficult task than what I'm suggesting to do at first, which is making it where we have 4 terms, 2 years apiece for the House. So it comes out eight years. And then for the Senate, they got 6-year terms. However, just limit that down to 2. But on top of that, you can run for House or Senate presidency, however you want to do it. But once you serve that time in your House, you're done with the House. You can't go in the House anymore. So you got your 4 terms, you're finished. You can go to Senate or you can go to presidency. That's how I would like to have it, is that you're limited that way. Brings it right back out to public. Makes them live common folk life for a little while. Let them know that how their rules, their laws is actually affecting everybody else. So that's how I would like that.
Okay. Well, right now, there's a lot going on in the education system in our country. And not only this at the state level, the local level, but also at the federal level. What are your thoughts on how much authority and control should the federal government have over the educational systems and processes of our K through 12th grade kids?
I want the federal government out of our I want them completely out of our education system. They can barely run our country efficiently as it is. I don't want them have any kind of ruling into what my son or anybody else's kids have. That's not a place for federal government to be.
Okay.
So to
Whose role is that?
That stays more local and state level for me.
Okay.
And the reason being I say that is because, for example, kids in New York learn completely different than kids here in Texas. And I'm not saying because of, it's just how our cultures are. So if they implement something like in the federal government for everyone the same, we're not going to learn the same. So why not bring it down to the state and local levels where we know what's actually going on and what these kids are lacking, and we can work on that instead of trying to bring in some kind of system to do it across the board.
All right. Now, you kind of brought this subject up earlier. Just give me a little bit more meat with it. What are your ideas, and do you support tax reform?
I do. Now, so on the tax reform, like I said, I'm for the fair tax plan. That's what I'm shooting for.
And what is that?
So that's going to eliminate all these. So there are about 158, 159 million taxpayers right now, and each one of us is subject to get audited. With the fair tax plan, that'll eliminate all that. That goes straight to the businesses. The businesses, it'll be a sales tax. The businesses will then present those taxes that they got off sales tax. It'd be like a first-time buyer sales tax. So anybody that's whatever you make, they're not going to be coming after your own income. So whenever you go out to a store, you purchase, make a big first purchase item, it's going to be taxed right then. Then that's going to go to the state level. Then they're going to present that to the state, and then that's who's going to get audited is the businesses and not the actual people. So the only way we can get rid of the IRS is by going into a system similar to that, because I even thought about doing a flat tax rate. However, a flat tax rate, you're getting rid of, you're going to be taxing everyone the same. However, you still got IRS there because you're taxing income. So there are always going to be some kind of loopholes there. They're always going to be there. So to me, I would rather get away from the flat tax as well, even though it's been talked about a lot actually. It's been talked about. And like I said, I've thought about it, but looking into the fair tax plan is more of the ideal way of eliminating the IRS. And that also will eliminate, if I remember correctly, $12 billion in the budget of the IRS. So there's one of the budgets right there that we can cut.
Okay.
And just right off top. So I am for any kind of reducing taxes.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for the Liberty segment. We are so excited that we're just sitting here talking about some real meat items. And Jonathan is just putting it out there. He's really letting us know exactly what he thinks. And we're going to be taking a break right now, and we're going to be right back with what I call the Hope segment. In the Hope segment, our candidates have the opportunity to encourage us. Too often, we sit around talking about the policies and the needs and the issues around our country, but we rarely talk about the positives. And we want our candidates to have that opportunity to tell you, the voter, what they believe in and how they think they can bring hope and encourage us and inspire us to just continue to grow in this great country that we call America. So when we come back, Jonathan's going to have a few thoughts for you, and I know he's going to bring hope to your heart. We'll be right back. Quick, could you give us your opinion on the abortion issue in America today, Jonathan?
So on the abortion issue, I'm for the heartbeat plan. You know, I'm pro-life. Now there is some issues that surround the abortion, medical issues, rape, incest. Now those need to be looked at independently, but overall, on the abortion issue, I'm pro-life, and I believe it starts, with the heartbeat. So, the other issue, though, what it comes into is the federal level of it. Me personally, I think it's a state level, and not a federal level. And the reason I say that, again, with the culture difference. Here in the Bible Belt, all in the South, we're against abortions. For a majority of the people that live here are against abortions. However, when you get into the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, they're very liberal on that idea. So to me, I'd rather have that as a state right. Let the states, let the people decide that. If we do anything on a federal level, this is where we're going to do it at. Hey, look, this is too much. We can't be having abortions at this point. We got to have it. We won't have to stop it right here. So to me, it's heartbeat bill to me. And then after that, the states can handle it at that point. Like I said, I'm for more the federal government getting out of our lives. However, there needs to be protection, especially on life. There needs to be protection on that. So I think that's kind of where I am on that. Like I said, again, it's when we start looking into it, to the incest, rape, and medical, that can get very tricky. And then when I say tricky, because, for example, on the rape issue, someone that they just go, well, I just want to have an abortion, but I'm just going to claim rape. No, you have to have some kind of rape file. You got to make sure this has to be a legit case. You're not just going to sit there and have an abortion on a innocent life. That's not right. I don't believe that's right, and I would never support that. So to me, it has to be backed up. There has to be proof. Especially on the medical issue. If we could save, for example, my nephew, he was on that cuff of, do they go ahead and abort or do they not? And the reason being is because of where she was in that pregnancy. They waited out a few more weeks. They was able to save him. He got NICU, and he's a healthy baby. But it was one of those, do we wait it out for the next few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and see if we can save the baby, or do we not? And they went ahead and saved it, and I'm so happy to hear that. So, like I said, when it comes to those kind of issues, that's going to be a case by case for those. But other than that, no, I'm for the heartbeat.
Well, how will you being elected bring hope and a better future to your constituents?
To me, the only way I can really do it is, for example, there was someone that said that they would take a year to learn the offices in Washington, D.C. To me, I don't want that. I want the people of this District 8, to know that I'm there, I'm working, and when I get there, my feet's on the ground, and I'm going after it. I'm learning where the offices are. If I got to get maps, I get maps, but I can't sit there and wait for a bill to get across my desk to sign it I have to be frontline right then and there.
Okay.
Let the people know that, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going on. This is what I'm presenting to the House, to the committee. It has to be constantly like that. The other thing is, I want these polling systems set up. I want it to know that, hey, any kind of bill that gets introduced, I want to come back out to the people and like, look, this is what's getting presented. How do you want me to vote on that? Because I can vote on it however, but I'm there for y'all. I'm not there for my own personal, benefits. I'm there for the people. So for me to bring back hope, it would have to be letting the people know that I'm actually there working for them, and then I'm trying to bring back the freedoms.
Okay.
I'm all for liberties and making sure our Constitution is being upheld. So whatever I got to do to assure that, that's what I will do, and I will make sure people know that.
All right. Now, let's say, boom, Jonathan Mitchell is a congressman. What are your top 3 priorities that you will focus on in your first term?
First term, one, Second Amendment, ensuring that we have our Second Amendment. I want to abolish the ATF and NFA right off the top. They're infringing upon our Second Amendment, and there's the issue with the Second Amendment that I find with some people is they won't bring up the militia in it. However, they're not counting the 3 commas that are in the Second Amendment, which separates 4 different clauses, and the last clause is shall not be infringed. So to me, that's one of the most important part of that. It is the most important in the Second Amendment. However, those commas are extremely important for that, and that's something that I would be focused on. So first term, first year in, it'd be trying to get rid of the ATF and NFA, somehow restricting them to a point where we can get them out.
Okay.
And the other things that we're working on is the border and the IRS. Okay. So I got to ensure that we have our, my apologies. I got to ensure that our border is secured. So to make sure that that's happening, going down there, make sure we have all the right personnel down there. And then the other would be abolishing the IRS. So those are my first, the big 3 things that I'll be going after.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate that. Okay, here's what I like to do. We end the show, every single show, we end it the same way. We allow the candidates, we invite the candidates, I guess you could say, to look right at the camera, take 2 minutes, and tell the voters why you are the man for the job. The camera's yours.
All right. So for me, I grew up here. I know what it's like. I know the struggles and being a blue collar guy. So besides the other candidates, I can't speak much on them. I can't speak ill on any of the other candidates. However, what I can say is I know what it's like to wake up, put your boots on, go to work, and come back home. And what it feels like to be forgotten by the government, seeing that they can have these double standards on our life. So when it comes to me and to the other candidates, I'm actually there trying to fight for us. And I want to be in office just long enough to get things changed and then get right back to doing what I love, and that's pipelining. I want to bring hope back to America. It takes one person to stand up for a whole coalition of people to stand up with them. So I want to be that person to stand up, fighting that good fight, getting back out there and giving our liberties back to the people and ensuring that our Constitution is being followed. Besides that, only thing I have is hard works. I never went to college, I went to college, never finished college. However, what I do know is hard work and getting things done. I have several jobs that I've gotten ahead of schedule, gotten done, finished on time, safely, and everything's done according to standard. And I want to do that too for the American people as well, is to ensure that they know that they actually have a congressman that's there in Washington doing what he's supposed to be doing and not just lollygalling around. The other issue that I have is I want the people to come to me with any kind of issue. I don't care what it is. If they have an issue, present it to me. I want to talk about it. Every issue's on the table. Everything's on the table, especially whenever I'm working for the people. I want to make sure that the people know that, hey, we actually have somebody there that's working for the people, not just for his own benefit. I'm not there to get rich. I'm not I'm not asking for donations. I'm not asking for anything like that. I'm asking for support. And I think that's how it should be. I'm working to support my campaign. I'm not working on the backs of other Americans to support my campaign. I think that's what stands out different from me and other candidates.
All right. Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Great interview. And folks, that's going to bring a close to this segment of Meet the Candidates. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the world of politics here in Montgomery County, please maintain connection to mcplive.tv, and we'll do everything we can to give you the information that you need to make good, educated decisions on our candidates for every position across the board, county, state, and federal. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Billy Graff, your host, and we'll see you next week on Meet the Candidates.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and ownership of mcplive.tv.